Hello and welcome back to the Exodus Collective with me, Zoe Smith. It's been a while since I've given you an update on the situation here in Grenada, West Indies, and as the travel situation has changed pretty significantly in the past few weeks, I figured today was as good a day as any to give you an update and to say hi and explain what's been going on. So first, forgive me for the background. I had actually recorded another version of this when I was out in one of my favorite settings, showing you some gorgeous scenery, lovely backdrop, the blue sky, the sun, the sound of the sea. But unfortunately, the sound quality was just appalling. So I hope you're enjoying this beautiful video. But yeah, back to me in this room, slightly hot, slightly sweaty, but hopefully the information that I give you will be of benefit. You can forgive the slightly unappealing background. So earlier today, I was listening to an update on the pandemic situation here in Grenada with the country's health minister. And I asked about the changing situation with regards to the level of risk that the island is understood to consider for tourists from different destinations. Now, totally my misfault. I misread some information and was under the impression that Grenada was on the red list for the UK. It turns out the information that I actually had was for the CDC, which showed that Grenada, because of the spike in COVID cases, has moved from level 1 to level 3. So level 3 is not the maximum level of risk. It doesn't mean that the country is not advising you to travel. What it means is that they recommend that you are vaccinated. But level 4 is the ultimate level of risk. And I guess level 4 of CDC corresponds with level 3, which is red, under the UK traffic light system. So yeah, the systems are complicated, the trends are really difficult to follow, but because of the spike in cases, Grenada has gone from perhaps seeing an uplift to maybe 30 cases a day to yesterday, I think there were somewhere over 200 cases. There are currently around 1,400 active cases of the virus in Grenada, which for an island that for so long had very few deaths and hardly any active cases is something that really is gripping the nation. Is making people very fearful, very doubtful, and traveling around, you already see that there's far less traffic on the road. Many businesses are closed, not just out of precautions, but also because of the number of people who've potentially been in contact with someone who has the virus. They're having to quarantine and isolate. So without a doubt, you're noticing an impact. For me, as someone who's come from the UK, I feel like somewhat of a Vietnam vet when it comes to levels of complication when it comes to this. I think at the same weekend where folks were really incredibly worried about the 13 new cases on the island, England was experiencing 32,000 cases in the same 24-hour period, and absolutely no talk of lockdown restrictions. Everyone is free to do what they want. So I guess each and every one of us is going to have our own perspective as to what's normal, what's not. But I think ultimately we are all in this together. Just because I'm vaccinated and someone else isn't doesn't necessarily, to my perspective, mean that I need to take the situation any less seriously. And understanding how my movements and what I do can impact the most vulnerable in society is something that I think is really important, and anyone else traveling to Grenada or any other Caribbean island really needs to be cognizant of. So that's the situation. Grenada is not on the UK's red list. I understand that the levels of traffic light system for islands will be reviewed on the 14th, which is in 5 days' time. So again, there'll be an announcement on the situation for the UK then. But as of today, the 8th of September, Grenada is not on the UK's red list. It is on the green list. And the likelihood perhaps is if anything is likely to change, it might move to amber, which still doesn't have serious implications for quarantining on return that a red list status would have. So that's me correcting myself. The health minister did not correct me. I don't know why, but I'm taking ownership. That was my misinformation, my misunderstanding. So just make sure that folks are 100% clear. Yes, there has been an uplift in the CDC rankings from level 1 to level 3, which is for the US. But for the UK, for now, it's business as usual. So that's the ratings. But really, what does this mean in practice? What impact is all of this having for ordinary Grenadians or folks living on the island? So a few weeks ago, because of this increase in numbers, it wasn't yet really, I would say, a spike. A curfew was instituted. So from 9 p.m., you needed to be in your house. From 9 p.m. to 5 a.m., no traveling on the roads, no excuses for being out and about. It was simply you are in your house. That's it, business as usual. Oh, business not as usual. As the numbers continued to rise, that curfew was then moved back to 7 p.m. So you had to be inside by 7. And I know it's only 2 hours, but really it does kind of have a significant impact on your day. The sun sets around 6:30-ish. So in normal times, you're still likely to be out and about driving around, but by having to be home by 7, like you need to start winding things down a lot earlier. So for sure, for me, at least personally for me and my family, it felt that the 7 p.m. curfew was much more significant than the 9 p.m., which to me, I don't really have a life anyway, so it didn't make that much difference. And with the measures that were announced, in addition to the 7 p.m. curfew, it meant a closure of non-essential businesses. It meant that beach access is restricted between the hours of you are allowed to visit the beach between 5 a.m. and 10 a.m. So within that window, you're allowed to be on the beach. Outside of that, beaches are a no-go area. I thought there might be a way around it by hanging out at waterfalls, which is something that my kids absolutely love. And we've taken the time to go exploring many of the island's waterfalls, and they absolutely love that. So to me, that was kind of going to be my halfway house of actually making sure we got to take our dip in the water, but no, waterfalls fall under the category of rivers, and gathering by rivers is also not allowed. So basically, if you want to plunge in the water, you're going to have to wait or access a swimming pool, or just do it between the hours of 10 and 5. So I think that's a significant shift, both for folks on the island and probably for no doubt for folks on holiday too, because I guess part of the reason of coming to the Caribbean is to be able to enjoy the spectacular beaches, which generally are no way as crowded as those in Europe, but for whatever reason, that is off the list. So that has been a significant change. Restaurants and bars are also closed, only allowed to access those for takeout. Although, to be honest, my experience of ordering fast food or trying to get a takeaway from a restaurant in Grenada, for the most part, it takes as long as it would to sit down and have a meal in a fast food restaurant in the UK. So the amount of time that you're saving by getting a takeout, I'm not quite sure exactly how that works. Maybe I just haven't been that lucky. Which leads me to the next update, which is that from Fridays to Mondays, so Friday evenings to Monday morning, there is an absolute no movement order in place, which means that you stay in your house. You do not mix, you do not mingle, you don't pop and fill up your car, you don't go to the supermarket, everything is closed, with the exception of testing facilities for coronavirus. And for that period, you are indoors, you and your family, that your bubble, that's it, you're inside, and yeah, you just do what you do in that period. So yeah, that we're yet to experience that. The first period of confinement takes place this Friday, so I will definitely post a video. I don't know if I'll do that during, maybe I might do it afterwards, because it might not be that pretty, being stuck in the house with my 3 kids from Friday to Monday. I think you can hear them screaming in the background. But yeah, there have been a number of changes. I think they are being done, no doubt, for the greater good, to impact the spread of the virus, to try and slow it down. There are a number of things that haven't changed, so people still are allowed to travel on buses. The number of people on buses, as far as I understand, hasn't been reduced, so you're still, for those folks who do need to travel by bus for their livelihood, still seeing buses kind of full of people, so you kind of wonder what difference is a mask going to make when you have perhaps 15, 18 people in a confined space. But I'm not a public health expert, but yeah, some things have changed, some things haven't. We'll see what happens when the next update is made by the Prime Minister. But yeah, for sure, seeing the rate at which cases are rising, seeing the really unfortunate situation of deaths in the community. Like, my heart goes out to those who lost loved ones, to those who are currently suffering from the virus, from those who are dealing with the symptoms that linger after the virus. Yeah, it's a topic that I've tried to avoid talking about because I really am not a public health expert, and I doubt many of the people who want to comment and engage me in conversation are either. So I just try and stay away. But given that this is having a physical impact, a direct impact on my life and the lives of Grenadians here on the island, and perhaps those thinking of making a move, I just wanted to speak honestly from my perspective as to what's happening and how I'm experiencing it. But again, I've come from the UK. It is far worse there than it is here, so perhaps my sense of fear, I've kind of been through the worst of it over there. But I guess also understanding the capacity of the health system here in Grenada to deal with the spiking cases, like that's significant. The number of hospital beds, the number of spaces in the ICU, the number of ventilators, if worst case comes to worst, folks need to be ventilated. Obviously, the numbers that we're working with here on this island, there's no comparison to what we were coming with from the NHS in the UK, which even there at the worst was massively under stress. But yeah, I'm thinking positive, I'm eating healthy, I'm making sure to make the most of my hour and a half of daily exercise that you're allowed to do. And one of the follow-up videos I definitely want to do is to show folks some ways that you can really maximize that hour and a half of your day. There's so much to do in Grenada outside of sitting on a beach, or being in a bar or a restaurant. There's like so many amazing places to check out, to be in the great outdoors and making the most of nature. So yeah, I think there's positive spins that we can take in the midst of all this sadness and tragedy. And yeah, trying not to get caught up in the fear and loathing is something that's definitely on my mind. So yeah, if you have any questions that you want to ask me directly, please do. If it's related to COVID, don't ask me because I'm not an expert. But if it's relating to travel, if it's relating to the options that are available here in Grenada, I'll be more than happy to, if you want to book a session with me, please do. You can do that over at theexodus.co. That's the website address. But yeah, as you can see, I am not panicked. I am well. I am healthy. If you can hear my children screaming in the background, they are definitely on full power. The situation here is far from great, but by working together, by being sensible, by being respectful, and just taking simple steps to do what we all can do to change the situation, I'm confident that necessary change can happen, and hopefully the government will put steps in place as well to minimise the chances of something like this happening in future. Once the numbers are down, to make sure that the chances of someone coming in and spreading it are minimised. They're never going to go away, but I think there are steps that possibly can be taken. But again, I'm not an expert, but that's just my opinion. I'm putting it out there. Wish you all well, keep safe, keep healthy, and look forward to sharing the next step of the journey with you next time. Take care.